Hey, this is Big Bob coming to you live from the rolling Casa del Green vehicle here in sunny Southern California. It's not much sun today. I want to talk to you today about the word grace. Grace. Well, Bob, didn't we done talk about grace before? You're supposed to do a different word every day, different phrase, different word. You can't be getting lazy on us now, Mr. Bob. You're getting lazy. You be lazy. I'm not getting lazy. No, I just felt today that I need God's grace. I need God's grace. I need God's grace. And every single day, every single hour, every single moment, Judah spoke in the book, "How is your soul?" And he asked the question, "How is your soul?" And during that time, he examined the fact that it's the breath of God in us. That's our soul. Without God's breath in us, we're nothing. We're just a pile of stinky flesh, and we don't have any life. I remember when my grandmother died, I was right there at her bedside, and she breathed her last. We were watching her. My uncle, my aunt, and I were all just, we're hovering like little faithful children around. My mother, she died back in '72, so she couldn't be there. So I stood in her stead, and I was there. And they unplugged the oxygen from Baba. That's Yugoslavian for grandmother. So they unplugged the oxygen from Baba because it was at 85%, nearly 100% oxygen. It's like, you know what? That's kind of silly to have that much oxygen. Baba didn't really want to be artificially, kept afloat. So they unplugged it at like 9 a.m. and she went 10, 11, 12. She had another 4 hours just on her own power. She'd obviously had already been gone the night before. I told this story many times. I said, Baba, it's me, Bobby. And she looked over at me. Hi, Bobby. I said, look, it's Teta Desanka. Teta's aunt for Yugoslavian. We're going to give you a language lesson. Our sponsor today, the Yugoslavian language. Dobro, kako si? So remember, the joy of the Lord is our strength. So I said, look, there's Teta Desanka. And she looked over at Teta Desanka, and she smiled, and then she just stared out into the heavens. And I really saw her just take a stare and just go away. She left that moment. I believe that maybe her soul went on to be with Jesus at that moment. Her body kept pumping and breathing and carrying on, but really, it was the I've heard of it before. It's the death stare. Is that the death stare? I remember my other grandmother. We went to visit her. A family member and I went to visit my dad's mom in the rest home out in, it was like Cucamonga, or now they call it Rancho. And I remember we went out in the hall because the nurse came in and said, need to take care of something. And we I don't even know. I never heard of anything like it in my life. And it was the death cry, whatever that is. And my grandmother, we did not get back home before I got a call from my dad, your grandmother's passed away. And we thought, wow, we were the last ones to be there with her. My brother Paul, who was a World War II vet, and great man, fantastic father. His daughter, stepdaughter actually, but his daughter loved him so much. And I was there with him in his last moments. Hey, Bob, I see a pattern here. You seem to be around a lot of dead people. Why don't you come on down to the station, buddy? We got some bright lights for you. These people all died of natural causes. It wasn't, I was just there when they passed. My mother, going back to '72, I got home, and there was I remember walking in the door. I've told this story many times. I walked in the door, and there was a hat on the table, and I thought, that's weird. And also the door was open, which is really weird. We were transitioning from Pomona to, isn't that where you are now, Bob? Yeah, I know. We were transitioning from Pomona to Upland. And we were in this apartment complex, and I had to walk up the stairs, and the door was open, and I went in, and my dad came out and said, well, you know, God works in mysterious ways, and he was just sobbing and crying, and so I just sat on the couch, facing south, staring at the clock, and just tearing up tissues. I tore up a box of tissues, just in shock and horror. So, grace. We need grace. We need God's grace. You and I, we can't figure it out. Well, I feel neglected. This isn't fair. You just never pay attention to me. Well, that might be, you know. I mean, if I want a lot of attention from somebody and they're not giving it to me, then it could be that, you know, I'm looking to the wrong source. If I'm looking to my family to be my source, then I'm going to be sadly disappointed. They're going to disappoint me sadly, badly. What about the marriage made in heaven, Bob? Isn't there a marriage made in heaven? I've seen those people that get along, and you know, I work for a couple, and you know, they never had any kids. They're very well off. They travel around the world. They're awesome, and yet they you know, the Mrs. and the Mr., they don't really provide everything for each other. They just don't. There's times when Mr. is you know, he needs to have his own time to do what he needs to do, and people you know, people are just we're unable. We can't do it. We need God's grace. And when we mess up, gee, am I going to mess up? Go ahead, fly away, fly. Got a little shoe fly here. He said, "Come on, buddy, take off out the window." Yeah. Hopefully he'll find his way out. So, there we go. I hope that was it. All right. So, when I mess up, it's not enough that I have. It's not enough that I have a nice person in my life. It's not enough that I have understanding in my life. I need to have grace. I need forgiveness and grace. I need to be able to know that I know that I know that God is on the throne. Prayer changes things. And I mentioned this in the promo. What if your president had gotten in? What if the person you wanted to be president got in? Now, for many people, Donald Trump is that guy. And right now, it's a very tough time in Washington, and there's all this controversy. But let's say Hillary Clinton got voted in, and you'd be all, yeah, Hillary Clinton, yeah, she's the one. And let's say she called up, one ding-a-ling-a-ling, two ding-a-ling-a-ling. Remember, gosh, her name was right on my tongue. She would play that operator, you know. Well, let's say you got to be the representative for Bill Clinton's wife, Hillary, or, you know, for Donald Trump. He called you up and said, I want you to be my representative. I want you to go around the world and represent me. And I'm going to give you your own plane, your own Secret Service staff. You have full access to the White House. You can, wow, I get to do all that. I get to have a special button on my lapel. I get to go to free concerts and do fun things. And I get to represent the government. Wow. You'd be pretty cool. Well, guess what? We have something better than that, much better than that. Because this government is not going to last forever. I mean, you know, we pray that it lasts at least for our lifetime so we can, you know, get on to see Jesus. But the thing is that grace, being ambassadors of grace, being recipients of God's grace. Back in the 70s, Amway was a big deal, and everybody wanted to hook you into selling Amway. Amway, come on to the party. We're going to have you Amway. You want to do Amway? We're doing Amway. Everybody does Amway. And I was like, I always had a funny feeling about it. I'm sure that still probably, you know, I still stir around and all, but I mean, it seemed like a pyramid scheme of some sort back then. And maybe it was back then. Maybe now it's all, proper and upright. There's other organizations that they want you to go out and they want you to sell things for them. Well, all that's good and fine, but I'll tell you, it's much better and a much more sure bet to have Jesus Christ in our lives. To know that we know that we know that we're saved, to know that we know that we know that we're forgiven, to know that we know that we know that God is on the throne and that prayer changes things. It's much better to know that than it is to not know that. It's much better to live with God than it is to be with President Trump for 8 years, or Hillary Clinton for 8 years, or Oprah for 8 years, or Ellen Kay, or whoever your favorite person is. I mean, you just come up with Uncle Sam, Aunt Margaret, my dream woman, my dream man. Living in God's grace every day and worshiping Him is way, way, way better than anything that we could ask or think. The Bible says that. It says that He is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think. So, friends, I love you today, and I'm praying for you. We're out of time. We got to go. I'm going to get a quick little lunch from my staff. I'm going to pick up a couple people, and we're going to have a little meeting there at the Casa La Victoria West at the Casa 1166. We're going to go over there. We're going to have a good time. There's a little trick about In-N-Out Burger. I'll share you the trick. They all actually open at 10 a.m. The sign says 10:30, but they actually open up at 10:30 a.m. I'll prove it to you. It's 10, well, after 10 right now. Here we go. There we go.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, good. 3 double doubles with onions, and I'll see you at the window. No fries or drinks, but thanks for asking. Have a great day. No, just put them in a bag. 3 separate bags, if you would.
You got it. So 3 double doubles, all with onion, all separate bags.
There you go. Thanks, young person. All right.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, so we'll see how nice that was. So, just think if we got grace whenever we needed it. Can you imagine if we had grace whenever we needed it? Can you imagine if we had grace whenever we needed it? Can you imagine if we had grace whenever we needed it? Can you imagine if we had grace whenever you messed up, you got grace. Whenever you spoke out, you get grace. Whenever you messed up, you got grace. Whenever you said something wrong, you got grace. Whenever you chose the wrong thing, you got grace. That's what Jesus wants for us. Jesus died. He, if you haven't heard lately, the fact of the matter is that Jesus, with that woman who was caught in adultery and they all wanted to stone her, Jesus showed grace. He was the one that had the right to stone her. He could have just taken a rock and you did this, and you did that, and you did a and you didn't do the rules, and oh my God, I'm gonna get you. How are you gonna pay? You're gonna pay, buddy. You're gonna pay. I'm mad. I'm upset. I'm done. Jesus said, neither do I condemn you. Please go and sin no more. Now Jesus knew that there was no way she was gonna stop sinning, but he gave her the grace. And he also had the power to forgive the sins that she committed. And of course, Judah tells the story, Judah Smith, City Church, Seattle, Los Angeles, Guadalajara, go Seahawks! He tells the story of how the love that Chelsea has for him, that's his wife, Chelsea, they were born together. I mean, their parents decided they're going to get married, and it was one of these really amazing things. Talk to him about it sometime. He says that what keeps him going when he travels around the world is the love that Chelsea has for him. He's so humbled and he's so blessed by her love. And he knows the God's love. And he says, you know what? Because she loves me, I know the grace. I feel the power. All right, let's talk more, shall we? but a little bit later after I get this one. I'm getting 2 double doubles for somebody else, 1 for me. Okay, I'm not eating 3 double doubles. 213-713-895-4894 for Greeny, att.net. And on the Twitter at Mr. Bob 894 and 4. See you soon. Love ya.